Good morning, everyone. This is Mortgage Pros 411. I'm Audrey Boyceno with Kevin Casey, and today we are joined by Maile Collmer. How are you today, Maile?
Doing awesome. So excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you. I think it's a perfect topic
I
for
I want to
this
say
week.
first time caller, long time listener.
Oh my gosh. Maile does things like call and leave a voicemail for me that says, if you see a rate you like, lock it in. Which, by the
Oh, wait,
way,
someone took my advice on Friday.
I have to say, I have had that bite me in the tail a couple of times in the last week because as I'm trying to figure out last week, okay, do I lock, do I not lock, do I wait, do I, because I have clients who want a certain rate, and we were so close, so close. And so every time I would ask someone their opinion, they'd sing my little ditty back to me, which was honestly after a while a little annoying. But there it is. It would have been a great time to take that advice, by the way, last Friday. So if you see a rate you like, lock it in.
Oh, so you did
Okay,
take that advice.
I did. I did
Oh,
lock.
you did.
Not
Yeah.
all of them.
Good.
Not all of them, but some. Okay. So we still have economic reports coming out this week. So it's jobs week. So tomorrow we have ADP. They're expecting 50,000 jobs. On Friday, we have BLS. They're expecting 60,000 jobs. We also have retail sales on Friday. However, it will be interesting to see what happens with that BLS jobs report because last month it came in at like this ridiculous number, 130,000 job creations in the face of everyone else and their mother saying that jobs had really taken a beating and that we weren't going to be seeing that. So, you know, we'll we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, we have this little thing called Operation Epic Fury going on and no flight to quality so far from what I can see. So typically or often there will be an initial hit to the bond market as it adjusts to this uncertainty, which it hates. And then we'll see an adjustment. And actually MBS Highway did a good job of breaking that down as far as showing what previous conflicts had what had happened with them. Um, but what I'm curious about is when we are the catalyst for said conflict, do we have the same rebound in a week? So in 2020, there was the assassination of Soleimani, and again, it was all around oil, which is happening this time too. Oil prices go through the roof. The market thinks, oh God, we're going to have inflation. It panics, and then it settles back down. So in 2020, when that happened, on January 3rd, oil was at 60 bucks a barrel. 10-year was at 1.79. That's right. 2020 kids. That's where the 10-year was. Holy crap. Uh, January 6th, oil went to $66 a barrel and was at 1.89. And then by the 13th, it had settled back down to $58 a barrel and 1.81. So it went through, the Hamas attacks and also the midnight hammer attack on Iran's nuclear facilities last June, I believe. And again, same thing where it would pop up, then it would go back down. So again, I don't know what happens when, I mean, this certainly feels like much more of a conflict when you got multiple countries involved and, you know,
Multiple, like so many.
yeah, and yeah, it's rough out there. I will give those titles are something. Operation Epic Fury. I mean, it sounds like some sort of Marvel movie or something. So
Except unless you misspell it, then it's
what?
epic furry. If you misspell epic fury, then it's epic furry.
I didn't think there was anything about this war that was going to make me laugh, but there was. Epic Furry.
Well, I'm good at misspelling, so that's
I know. Well, thank
I
you,
have to be really
dyslexia. We
careful on that
appreciate
one.
it. Yes, we appreciate it. Okay, just in other news, we have a Camp Ledge Day. That's California Association of Mortgage Professionals Legislative Day coming up March 16th and 17th in Sacramento. If you are in another state and your state has a Ledge Day, you should go. If you're in California, your state does have a Ledge Day and you should go. It is really important. I think you might remember that March 5th, which I think is Thursday, we are going to have the trigger lead bill go into effect, that national trigger lead bill. That means that your client's information can no longer be sold randomly to whomever will pay for it. That does not mean that the servicers can't have their way with it, and God knows
Mhm.
they are. But again, our issue is who is going to monitor this and regulate this, because the CFPB has had their kneecaps bashed in. And so the expectation that they are going to be looking at this for us and handling those complaints, we don't know. So it's important to have state legislation that at least backs up what you're hoping to have happen at a federal level. Go to your legislative days. Not only is it important for your business, for your clients, but also it's a good time for you to mingle with other mortgage professionals and meet other people, have other people you can call. Oh my God, I have this loan. What do I do with it? I mean, it's really important to have that kind of friendship, interaction within the industry. So I would really encourage it. And we'll have a little more on their talking points next week. I can't remember what they are, or maybe they haven't been decided yet, or it's something like that. I'm not sure. All right. So back to the matter at hand. So we'll see what happens the rest of the week with jobs. The oil is an issue. They have closed, or I think Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz. It is 20% of the world's oil passes through there. 45% of China's oil goes through there, and those shipping costs have gone up 50% for them, and like in the 40 percentile for everyone else. So it
Yeah,
is a
most of
little.
China's oil is coming from Iran, so that's fully stopped.
So
Damn.
we got a little problem. It was an interesting weekend for me because my son and his Persian girlfriend, who will at some point, I believe, be his wife, they were in Istanbul for 2 weeks with her family from Tehran, and they were all supposed to go home on Saturday. So
Ooh.
it was quite the experience on all sorts of levels. And my son and his girlfriend got back here, which was a relief for me. But her family that was with her is now stuck in Istanbul, and the rest of the family that is still in Tehran obviously can't move around. So it's, you know, yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week. All right,
It's been an interesting
it has been
weekend
very.
actually. I heard an interesting quote from Jamie Dimon. They're interviewing about all this stuff, and
Oh, what?
the quote, the takeaway was like a 30-minute interview, but the takeaway I got was this is a moment in time, and the markets will overreact both ways, and then after the moment in time passes, everything goes back to some sense of normalcy.
You
So
know what, Kevin? I am so glad you said that. That is so right on the money, and it really reiterates something that I read this morning. A financial planner sent out a letter about, hey, what does this all mean? How does it all shake out? And they pointed out that we've been in a conflict with Iran for a very long time, and things happen, then they stop, then they get better, then they get worse, and to your point, yes, this is a moment in time, and it will be okay. I mean, for God's sake, the people who are not, who are having their homes blown up and people are dying, that is
yep,
not at all to be minimized. But from our perspective, when it comes to business and doing loans, this too shall pass, as have all the mini cycles that many of us have been through in the last 3 million years that we've been doing this. So thank you for saying that. That's really important to remember, I think.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about something a little more cheery, shall we? So Miley, even though she is now not a realtor, she was a really high producing realtor for a long, long time. So she appreciates all this and understands all this. So we had Cotality come out with their home price appreciation for January, and Case Shiller came out with their home price appreciation for December. So Totality showed that we were up 7/10 year over year, and they're forecasting appreciation of 4.4% for the next year. It was also interesting. I thought it was interesting because Case Shiller came out with their December numbers. So for them, 2025 was up 1.3%. Okay, that's all right. But you have to remember that March to July, the prices were actually down. So thank you to MBS Highway, who did a graph showing what the average depreciation was in the last 5 years, but also they showed for 2025 how, if you take all 12 months, what was high, what was low, which months were high, which months were low. And So in from September to December, you had 4.6 price growth. I mean, that's amazing. That's when rates had improved. So again, we had March to July where prices were down slightly. So their 20 city index showed that they had price gains in 19 of them. Denver was still declining, but you know how we've sort of, talked about Tampa, Florida a bit and Phoenix, those were even a little better. So again, things are a little better. They're getting better slowly. Again, we have to watch the trends, not the day by day. Otherwise, it's too difficult and we have to drink far too much. So we keep our eye on the ball, which is looking down the pipe, which is why we have Maile here today. So Maile is going to help walk us through making sure we're plotting out our second quarter and then the rest of the year. So it's not just some willy nilly, I hope it's going to be fine. And I think this is really good um, reminder that if we are focused on rates and refis, which are very important, and I'll get to that later, it is not, it's not, you have to focus on purchases. How can I help somebody? How can I help someone get into a home, etc. So with all that, Maile, let's talk about how to plan our second quarter. And I just want to say the reason that am that Maile is here today, other than I've known her for 3 million years and her mother, and I love them and they're great, is because she led the best, and I mean by far the best planning session I ever attended. It is the only one I've ever attended and actually left with a plan. You know, so she was able, and so she's obviously not going to do this because it's like an hour and a half that we did, right, Maile? But
Yeah.
but again, an hour and a half to plan your business is amazing, but she breaks it down for us. And so she's going to give us a mini version of this today. And then she's going to give you a way that you can get the forms, get
The
the pages
worksheet.
you would fill out. And then if you wanted her to help you beyond that, she's available for that too. So Maile, take it away.
Awesome. And just to start my 2 cents, a reminder that real estate is intended to be a long-term investment.
Exactly. And
So,
also, Maile has, she has people in the mortgage business who she coaches. And she coached one guy from not doing anything to 35 million last year, right? So,
yeah. Well, he was doing things before he met
okay,
me.
just not as, it wasn't even close to
Yeah.
35 million,
But
right?
but we more than doubled his average purchase price. And so that, of course, helped. And then, really worked on how to build some strategic referral relationships that sent him the ideal clients that he wanted over and over again. So
Yeah. And
that's
it
what
all
we did.
starts with intention. And we had Megan Anderson on a couple weeks ago, and it was interesting because she was talking about goals and intentions, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And the first time she told everyone to close their eyes, I thought, all right, here we go. And I found out later, both Kevin and I were looking at the numbers. Okay, were we going to lose everyone at that point? I mean, is that how is everyone going to be with that? And everyone hung in there. Like it was amazing. And then she did it again. And I thought twice. But again, so people are open to the idea of changing what they're doing in their businesses, to
Mhm.
being more intentional, to what are some ideas so that we can make this work, etc. So yeah, we're looking
Awesome.
forward to this, Maile.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, hopefully. Haha, here we go.
We know it works. We tested it.
And so just for fun, I thought I'd start out with some old real estate photos. I started my career after graduating at UCLA. I went right into getting my real estate license and started selling residential real estate. So, real estate was my first career. And I started in the 90s. And I was business partners with my mom. So that on the left is a
Amazing.
is an actual glamour shot. If you remember glamour shots from the 80s, they were actually still around in the 90s. And we took that was our first photo on our real estate card. And then another updated version that's still over 20 years old. So just for fun.
Well,
Um,
okay, so hang on a second because I want to give Kevin a chance to jump in here about the headshots.
yes.
Kevin sees a lot of websites in the mortgage industry and a lot of headshots. Kevin, what is your takeaway on that?
So it is really funny when I see people with actual still have glamour shots as their photos. I have
Yeah.
seen the worst one is people using AI photos that are like
Mm.
cartoon figures. I'm like, what in God's name are you thinking? But I have also seen photos that I've shared a few of them with you, Audrey, where,
Yeah.
oh my God, check this person out. Can you believe this is what they put up as their headshot? Um, yeah, I'm a big advocate of having very professional headshots. It's well worth the, 200 bucks to have a professional do it than you posing there with your selfie trying to take a shot.
Well,
Well,
Kevin,
apparently,
they are more than $200 now. Just keep
yeah,
up with
they're
the
way more.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
way
yeah.
more. But Kevin is absolutely correct because I too have professional headshots that I've done the last number of years, and it's night and day. Absolutely night and day. But some of the pictures that Kevin sends me, I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Some just look like they look like they're being booked into the county jail. Some of them look like someone slammed them up against a wall in their office and forced it to happen. I mean, some of
Others
it,
just rolled out of the bar. They, other than the fact they don't have a beer can in their hand, like,
yeah, some of them. I mean, if I were looking for like a stripper to come and do my mortgage, I'd call that number. I mean, it's like, okay, people, get a grip, be professional. I mean, what are you selling here? Be clear
That's
about
right.
that.
Be
All that. So,
professional and look how you look. I know one of my friends in real estate, she and I were both Women's Council Realtors presidents, and she changed her hair all the time. And she got headshots every time she changed her hair.
oh,
And she even did a postcard. This was back in postcard days, and where she showed like a dozen of her headshots with all her different hairdos.
cute. Oh, that'd be
So, but
funny.
it's good, and
Yeah,
it's another excuse to post and all of that. I've seen people, say, "Hey, which one do you like?" and things like that. So yeah, just keep updating your headshots, and yeah, these are just for fun, a flash in the past,
yeah.
and all
It's
of
a
that.
great reminder. And Kevin's been wanting to talk about that for a while. So thank you.
So I want to give us a framework
Oh,
for
that's us.
I know. So I put a little snapshot of Audrey and me in the wild there. I think this was when we went and saw my mom's Black Hawk Chorus.
Oh, her concert. We
The
went to a concert.
concert. Yes. We
Yeah.
went to a couple of concerts during the holiday season together. So when we're looking at effective planning, it's interesting because we have become such short-term thinkers. And it used to be when you did a strategic plan, it was like 10 to 15 years out. And then it became, 8 to 10 years. And now it's like 3 to 5 years as a strategic plan. And part of that is because of technology and how quickly things are advancing in that regard. And then when we look at our personal business plan for our business and setting out our goals, most people think for the year, right? By the end of this year, I want to have these things accomplished. I want to be this, I want to make this much money. I want to sell this many homes or do this many loans or whatever that is. And we want to accomplish certain things in a year. We want to take this vacation and do that and do this, right? So we think about a year and we usually have these goals. And that's where we want to start. We want to start with those like bigger goals, that bigger vision. What's the big picture? What are we working toward? And because it's very hard to think of it, what do I do today? Right? That's going to get me 12 months from now. It's very challenging for our brains to connect the dots between now and a year from now, even though we can think of these big goals, but to get it to an action plan where we can start implementing and doing something toward it, it's better to chunk it down. So through, I mean, I am a lifelong learner. I am I'm a, I'm a driven go-getter kind of person. I'm always learning and improving, and I've read a ton of books. I've been to tons of seminars. And so what I derived for my coaching clients is a 90-day business plan, because we can think in a 90-day sprint or a 90-day time period. It's much more tangible. So we start with the year goals and the bigger goals, and then we get to our 90-day goals, which we'll pick three. Then we want to identify what are our lead and lag indicators, and we want to develop tactics for each goal. So for we're each of the three 90-day goals, we'll develop tactics. Then we'll create an action plan, and then we break it down to the week. What do I do this week? And that is something that my coaching clients ask me all the time. Like, what do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do this week? What am I supposed to do today? And so
Right.
that helps it break it down. So it's really easy and tangible to do. And then we score our week because that gives us, an evaluation of how we're doing. And do I need to um, do more, or did I really like kill it and I need to celebrate with some bubbly or whatever that is, right?
Right.
So, so step one is your year. So just think about, okay, what is the vision for your business? What would be three goals that you want to accomplish this year? What is your current level of revenue for the month? And then where do you want it to be, in 4 months, 8 months, 12 months? Whatever that is. And then specifically, what do you want to be different about your life in 12 months? So if we're gathered again a year from now, like, what do you want to say that you accomplished? What has happened in your life? So that's taking that big picture and doing that broad stroke. So then we can kind of see, okay, this is where we want to get to. Okay, now we're going to chunk it down. So then we set three 90-day goals. So with your goals, you want to focus on, and even with your vision, don't think about what you should do or what you ought to do or any of those kinds of things. Think about, what do you really want? And then in as we break it down, right? What would be a 90-day, if we did this, it would make us on track for that year-long goal. And so I know that a lot of people, um, you know, they they think of that year-long goal, and it seems kind of big, and you could just break it down. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is that you want to be specific. I think everyone's heard this, right? You want to be specific. So if it's like numeric, like your revenue or your how many volume units or whatever, however you do that, um, then that's kind of easy to kind of break it down. But sometimes we have goals that are not numeric. And so then you got to think, okay, what would be a specific goal that will be help me be on target, that I could really go, okay, yeah, I hit that. Okay.
So if
So,
so if
yeah,
your vision for your business was something like, I want to grow my business by helping more people, that is very vague in terms of what the end is. So you've got to have like a
right.
number or something associated with that. And that's where those, figuring out where are you now and where do you want to go for. And this is what I love. I love 4 months, 8 months, 12 months. I love breaking it into bite-sized pieces that are very easy to look towards. And it's not like you're looking at 12 months as this big abyss of time. It's
Yeah,
okay, this is a really small amount of time, and how am I going to use it? And breaking it down that way, I found that to be extremely helpful. So, and if you can't see
absolutely.
the forms very well, remember that at the end, she's going to show you how to actually, it's at the bottom of the screen. She's showing you her email address so that you can contact her and she'll take it from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you want the worksheets, you can always email me and I'll make sure that my email's much bigger towards the end so you can read it.
Yeah,
And
I was
just,
going to just say, if they can't read the forms, they're going to have a hard time reading the email
I know
address.
I have it bigger on the last slide, like, so you guys can all get that. So, just put Mortgage Pros 411 in the subject line somewhere so I know what's up, right?
Yep.
So when we identify that 90-day goal, and here's the other thing that historically, because I come from a real estate background, so I was a realtor for 20 years, as Audrey mentioned, for a long time. And then I started my coaching consulting business 14 years ago. Gosh, time flies when you're a certain age. Anyways, so you know, one of the things that I always knew in my real estate business is what I do today affects my business 90 days from now. So if I'm making 50 phone calls today, I'm going to be picking up clients and putting things in escrow 90 days from now, right?
Yeah.
Because it takes some time to build momentum.
And it
And
can't be more than 90 days. 'Cause I had a good example of that where I was sharing with Audrey, where prior to the holiday season, I went to a couple of real estate events. And there were events I personally did not want to go to. I didn't really know anybody there other than one person that was going to just kind of introduce me to somebody. And in both cases, I was so happy when I walked out the door. But that was, well before the holidays, right? Well,
uh-huh.
now I've got two loans in my system directly related to both of those two, visits. So it's 90 days out, and then you see the fruit of your work.
Yeah. So it was worth it to go, huh? Suck it up and go,
Yeah, suck it up and go.
huh?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the thing, if you want to do well in business for yourself, you've got to take the action. And sometimes it doesn't, and it's not when you feel like it, it's consistent, right?
Yep.
The more consistent you are, the more results you're going to get. And the more consistent results you're going to get. So you don't do it when you feel like it, you do it because that's what you do to get the business. And then it does feel great when you get that great client and you get that nice paycheck, right?
I
So
am constantly reminding my kids that they have to force themselves to be uncomfortable. Do
mhm,
not wait till it feels good because new things rarely feel great in the beginning, or
yeah,
doing the activities that you don't love or feel that they come second nature. That doesn't feel good, but do it
right.
anyway. And
Yeah,
so
But the
it is
results feel good,
the
right?
results feel great. And
And
once they experience that a few times, then it's much easier for them to do that action up front. So
hmm
again, especially for my younger ones who are just at the beginning of their careers, it is, I'm like, push yourself, just be uncomfortable. It will
absolutely.
get better. And it does.
And
Yeah.
and
One of the tricks I've learned, sorry to interrupt you,
go
is
ahead. Go, Kevin.
making phone calls. Like
Mhm.
it's uncomfortable to call strangers. I'm not a cold calling person. Some people can do it, just they have no soul. So what can they, they just do it all the time, right? Um, but what I did is I had a goal. I had to call 10 people a week. And so what I would start with is call my favorite people first. But
Mhm.
the rule was I had to call at least two strangers.
Mhm.
Um, and by doing that, I build up to it. It's like, okay, well, the first person's a good friend. So that's easy phone call, right? Then the next
Mhm.
one's, well, it's accomplice, somebody I haven't talked in a while. That's an easy phone call. But then
Yeah.
you build up the build to, okay, now I can make that phone call to the person who doesn't know me and see what happens with it. So it
Well, and
just
it's also good because, first of all, I'm going to give Kevin credit because he actually makes phone calls, unlike me. He's much better at that overall. So before I say the next part, which is, he'll hit a wall where he doesn't want to call anyone. And then
Yeah.
I'm there going, do it, just do it. I'm going to hang up on you. Do it now. And so you have to have somebody who helps motivate you when you're not feeling like you want to do something. It's
Mhm.
really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always tell my clients, you can call me first or call your best friend or call your mom. Moms always love to get a phone call. If you got a mom that's still around, give her a call. and when you talk to people more often, your phone calls get shorter, so it saves you time. So
Mm.
that's another hot tip. So the more frequent you are, the easier
Interesting.
it is to make more phone calls. So, and here's the other thing is like I get excited about like when you do this, like when you push yourself like Audrey's sharing with her kids, it it's a it's incredible the person you become and the
Mhm.
skills that you build. I mean, I believe that being in business for yourself, especially, is a personal development journey. And it's incredible the growth and then the confidence you get from that growth. So do it and reap the rewards in so many aspects.
Well, and
So,
also
yeah.
sometimes when you're reminding someone else, like my kids, I'm reminding myself,
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
So Peter says that anyone who worked for Olin Mills Photography for 15 minutes has been traumatized and has extreme call reluctance. And one of my kids worked for, who was it? Was it Yelp? I don't know. He worked for one of those, I think it was Yelp, one of those big companies
Mm.
in San Francisco in a call center. He had to make 100 phone calls a day, and they were so intense that one day they thought there was an active shooter in the building. SWAT teams were literally coming up the stairwells through the doors, and they were instructed, just keep calling, just keep calling. I'm like, you want to talk about some PTSD? Yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, so thank God we don't have that. No SWAT teams.
No, wow.
Yeah,
All
crazy.
right, so just real quick, set your goal, make it specific, and then what's great is just tell yourself why is this goal important? Like why is that important to you? Okay? And like when you hit this goal, what will be different? Okay? So then it gives you gives you more purpose behind that goal. So I'll keep moving. Um, then and now this is the part where most of my clients get a little bit hung up. This is a sheet just to brainstorm what would be your key lead and lag indicators. Are you familiar with lead and lag indicators?
Talk us through it.
Okay. So a lead indicator is I'm going to make 50 phone calls. A lag indicator would be I set 5 appointments.
Okay. The
Okay.
result.
So a lead indicator is kind of like that proactive activity. Okay. So I'm picking up the phone. I'm, you know, doing different things. If you have a weight loss goal, like fewer calories consumed, more exercise happened, right? Like then you're going to get those results. So those lead and lag indicators, it's just a brainstorm. So you want to brainstorm for each one of your goals. What would be a lead indicator? What would be a lag indicator? So then you can kind of identify some targets and some activities and some tracking that you can do to really be more specific in how you're going to attain that goal. Then you want to pick 3 to 5 tactics per goal. Okay, so you take from that lead and lag indicator. Um, you can take some things from there, or just whatever you're thinking. Okay, what am I going to do to achieve this goal? Okay, so you want to identify 3 to 5. You don't want to identify 15 to 20 because that's overwhelming. You want to have 3 to 5 that's manageable. Okay, so if you have a goal that is to increase your revenue, say you want to earn, 100K in this next 90 days or whatever it is, right? You're going to make a lot of phone calls. So the next question is, what tactic will you struggle with? And Audrey's going to be like, it's making phone calls because I just don't do that, right? So not to throw you under the
Whatever.
bus, but and then I'm going to ask you to solve your own problem. So what will you do to overcome that struggle? So now you're going to solve your own problem. So, that's one of the things is like, if we want to have something we haven't had before, if we want to accomplish a goal we haven't achieved before, we're going to have to do something different. And doing something different can be uncomfortable and it can create challenges. So, what are those challenges going to be? And how will you overcome those challenges so you can get your goal? And you have
Right.
the answer, right? Because your strategy for overcoming your goal or that struggle is going to be, might be different. So Kevin might start, calling certain people, and whereas Audrey might, I don't
Go
know.
right for the worst one.
Yes. I'm one of those, I'll just get the hardest thing out of the way first. That's what I like to do. And by the way, I'd like to point out, I'll call the FHA to see if the head of FHA to see if they'll be on our show. I'll call the
Yeah.
president of Housing Wire magazine to see if they'll be on our show. Yeah, why can I do that, but I don't do all the other crap. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I know that you can make phone calls. So it's just a choice, right? All right. So in the worksheet, I have a page for each one of your three goals, right? And why three goals? Because three is attainable, right? Like three is easier to focus on, and it's still significant enough to make huge progress when you
Yeah.
focus on those things. So they have to be, you got to think, okay, strategically, what's going to get you there. Then we have a targeted 90-day plan, basically where you put your goal and your 3 to 5 tactics all on one page. So you have like basically a 1 page plan for your next 90 days. And then we just break it down to each week you use this sheet just to start tracking. Okay, so what is it? What are my action steps this week? Okay, and then you break it down into whatever those 3 to 5 action steps are for that goal. Okay, and then at the end of the week you score it, and 80% is good. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, right?
No,
If
Audrey
you're
does.
What's that?
Audrey does.
I
Well, I
wish.
know
I wish.
I'm a recovering perfectionist. So, I have to tell myself it's okay not to have 100%. You
Yeah.
can have 80%, even 50%, because now you're making progress. Okay?
Actually, I cannot emphasize that enough. The progress is the most
Mhm.
important part
Yeah.
because if you're doing nothing and then you're doing something, that is something, then you can build on that. So I always think about when I decided I was going to go to the gym, which was daunting. And this was
Mhm.
almost, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years. It was a long time ago. And literally, the way I got myself there was I'm going to go to the gym once a week. I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm going to walk for at least 5 minutes. It was so easy. I could not do it. But I also
Yeah.
know myself that once I'm there, I'm going to not just do that. And I'm not just going to go once a week because that's going to feel, I knew that it would build on itself because of
Yeah.
who I am. But a lot of times when we're listening to people who are talking about whether it's fitness or it's business or it's this all or nothing mentality. And so you should be here and this is what you should be doing and all this pressure. And you can't just get there in one step. It's got to be broken down exactly like this is why I love this. I love it. So people, please take advantage of this. You will not be sorry. It is the best way to break down what you want to accomplish and accomplish it.
Absolutely. I love that
And
example.
and she's
I
just handing it to you, by the way, and that is in itself a gift because this usually costs, a pile of money.
Absolutely. Thank you, Audrey. Yes, it's my gift to you for being a Mortgage Pros 411 listener and a friend of Audrey and Kevin. So on the screen, I have my QR code. If you haven't been paying attention, QR codes are those things you can use your phone. The photo app typically on your phone will just go ahead and scan that. And what that QR code is to get my contact information. So you can add me as a person who you now know in your phone, and you can call me. This is my cell phone. So you can call or text me on that number. You can email me. It also has some links for my social media and things like that. And so we can be connected. And then it will also prompt you to share your contact information with me because we aren't really connected if it's not both ways.
So
So,
Peter says your face is over the QR code, and I'm going to tell
oh,
you, I just did it and it's fine. It works anyway. So go ahead and
is
do
that
it. Just
better?
no,
Am I
it
not?
was fine. Don't just move your freaking head back. I did it with your head right there, and I just had to hold it for there, and it totally was okay. So we also so Catherine says her headshot is a picture. She said my headshot is a picture of me and my Chihuahua on adoption day. I'm still in my Navy blazer from work. It reflects who I am, unpretentious animal lover who does taxes and loans. So, and then Michael said, no hair, no problem. And Matthew is asking, should we have shed headshots with coats and tie, or is that passe today? Like, are you supposed to dress up in a headshot? That's the question, Miley.
I would say, how, if you had your ideal client looking at that, how do you show up when you show up for an appointment?
I had
That,
that conversation with
I
the
heard a great
realtor
story
not
about
too
how do
long
you show
ago.
up.
what's
What?
that?
I, so I went to a real estate sales meeting last Thursday, and one of the agents had just gotten a huge signing, 20, I think it was 20 new development project, $2 million a piece. So huge, huge, huge listing, right? And she was saying that she was competing directly with one of the top realtors in town to get the listing. But what happened was he showed up in flip flops and shorts, and she showed up very professionally dressed. She got the listing. So
Nice.
how you show up reflects how care about your client, and if you don't care, it reflects on how you dress. Um,
I recently had a conversation with a realtor about that, who I don't know that I've ever seen them out. I think I've always seen him wearing like gym clothes. Like I don't, and I've seen him a million times over the years. I don't know that, and he doesn't look bad. He just looks like he just came from the gym, but not bad came from the gym, not sweaty and disgusting. Doesn't, it's not channeling
yep.
Richard Simmons or anything, but still, and he asked and what I thought about that. And I said, I don't know. I'm not some authority on what is right or wrong these days, but I would think that at least if it's a first meeting, that you want to present yourself as, so I'd at least do business casual and make sure that they understand that you took this seriously and you're showing up appropriately. Now, if you're getting a call
I
from a client
agree.
and they want you just to go like let them into an open house or let them into a house to see it, and they've already met you and they've already decided that they're going to work with you, then and you say, oh, I just came from a practice or a gym, then maybe that's fine. But I would think that initially you at least need to present.
You're going to be doing an open house and working an open house, and you look like you just came from the gym. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
think
say working an open house. I
no,
I
said
know,
just
I
let
know.
them
just
in,
letting them
let them in.
in.
And
You know,
also, just quickly, Jenny had asked whether or not the people in these countries where their houses are being bombed, do they have insurance? I'm going to ask. I'll ask and find out. I don't know the answer to it. But don't
Oh,
you
I know the
have
answer
a
to that one.
provision?
You
But
don't
you
wait,
don't know
wait.
for every. You don't know for these countries. I mean, these are Middle Eastern countries. But we have acts of war. That's an issue. So, like, does
Acts
it?
of war are not covered generally.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if
Here,
missile makes its way over here,
here.
we're right of luck.
Acts that were here are not covered. So we'll find out whether that stands the rest of the world, or at least the parts I can inquire about. Miley,
They may not even
oh,
have insurance there.
well, if you do want a copy of the worksheet, just shoot me an email or a text to say Mortgage Pros 411 in the subject line so I know what to look for. And, thank you so much for having me
I,
on.
I,
I
no, I
definitely
have to
think,
say, this was
yeah.
really good. This really reminded me of, back in the day when I was just, knocking out of the park on a regular basis, um, that I had, my 10 phone calls to make every day. And I had
Mhm.
to, knock them off every day. And I started, it was real estate agents on Monday, current clients on Tuesday, business professionals on Wednesdays, past clients on Thursdays, and then real estate agents again on Fridays for the weekend. And
I love
it
that.
that worked so well. And it was just like I said, I would start with the real estate agent I like to talk to first, and I would work down to two real estate agents that I had never spoken to in my life before. And then I'd always make a point I had to have um, the goal was to have 5 appointments, 5 in-person meeting with coffee or something. Um, and one of the best tricks I did with that was I would have people meet me at the same time. So two different people who don't know each other, I'd invite them to the same coffee event, and I would introduce them to each other. And then what would happen is we would talk so much about each other that they both got the benefits of it. And the
Okay,
really great
so
thing about that one, let me just finish that, was if someone doesn't show, because who else has not set up an appointment with somebody for coffee? You go to the coffee
Yeah.
place and you're sitting there for an hour and they don't show. When you invite two people, I've yet to not have at least one of them show.
okay, so what I wanted to say is we are actually sitting here with two founders of very long-standing BNI groups. Kevin's is, I don't know, 320 years old, and Miley's is 327 years old, but really long, tenures with that. So
And
here's
both
the
are really
question.
great chapters.
They're really good
Yes.
chapters. Yes. And I didn't
Successful
know there.
chapters. I have a feeling because of the things that Kevin and I did in those chapters to ensure the success of the chapter.
Yes. And that
So,
is sitting here with someone who used to think that BNI was ridiculous. And now I understand when people say you just have to be in the right chapter and then it's magic. And that is true. So it's the two of you, because I have a feeling you have different ideas. So when one schedules what is called a one-to-one, one-on-one, I don't know, something like that. If you schedule two people at the same time, I'm starting with Miley, Kevin. Is that a one-to-one? If you have two people at the same time, does it count as two separate one-to-ones?
technically, the answer is no.
Kevin?
I would say yes.
Okay. All right. Just kidding. I mean, well,
But
so
it's
was
on the
I.
honor system. I mean, if you feel like you really did talk business and each person had their fair time to talk about their business and ask questions and things like that. Uh, the idea is really for BNI purposes that you are developing the relationship and finding out how you can refer each other more business. So if that has been met, then
I would
it's
Yeah.
say
on the honor system.
if you're staying for 2 hours, then it should count.
Yeah.
And Peter says you guys look great for your ages. Absolutely great. So
I think you do, don't I?
what? Yeah, you don't look a day over 324, so that's
Although I gotta say, speaking of headshots, I had a client that I met in person, and that like they took it like a double take, like, "Oh my God, you look exactly like your headshot." That never happens.
That's
yeah,
what should happen.
exactly. Okay,
And
I
if
just
it doesn't, then you need new headshots.
yeah. Okay, so a couple things. So first of all, you know how we have talked about, and it has been talked about multiple times, that the average age of the first-time home buyer is now 40. So we've all heard this statistic now. I've even talked about it here. As it turns out, 6 surveys were done. One of them shows the average age at 40. So that's what everyone glommed onto because, it sounds terrible. 5 of them showed somewhere in the 34 to 35 age range. So I don't know if that gives you comfort or not, but at least it's not as bad as, if it's 40.
It
As far as
probably depends on the market too, right? Where you are
definitely depends
located
on the
and the
market.
the price points and things like that.
I would say definitely. But also, like all of that depends on what market you're in because I mean, if you're in an area where the prices are high and the down payments are high and you don't qualify for first time home buyer, but you get RSU income and you have a really great salary and you know what I mean? Like there's a million different variables as we all know. This is not anything new. The This week, the Fed is saying they're expecting to hold rates until the second half of 2026. It was interesting because the New York Fed governor, John Williams, who I always think of the amazing movie composer every time I say his name,
Oh yeah.
I know. Anyway, he didn't he did not acknowledge or reference the little thing that's going on the last few days. But basically they're saying everything looks groovy for now and we should be good and maybe we'll have one like September and then another in December. We'll see. And then we have Mirren saying four, let's do it now. Let's do it now. So it'll all as always, it just depends. And I feel like we've been down this road 8 quadrillion times and we expect that the rates on this date or this time period, or if this happens, they're going to go down. And then something comes out of left field. So Russia invades Ukraine. We have a, you know, First Republic goes under. We have a banking crisis. We have a debt ceiling. All these things come out of somewhere and interrupt this, oh, rates are going down and now we're going to have, those really low rates again. So again, I would say stay away from focusing your business on things that are dependent on events that are outside of your control. Do not, do not
Keep
think.
making your phone calls. You can control that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, or start making your
Absolutely.
phone calls, Kevin. I haven't heard you talking about that lately.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like they said, NAR came out with the statistic that 71% of agents, of realtors, did not sell a single home last
yep,
year, did not do one transaction. And what one of my clients, top producing, third highest production in their office of over 300 agents. So there still is business, and I think it's a great time to get into the real estate business because it is a little bit of a tougher market and it will reinforce the fundamentals that will create a long-term career in the
right.
business.
Yep. I agree with you 100% because we've had a plethora of people who thought they could just, get into the business, stick a sign in a front yard, post something on Facebook and collect a huge check. And they had no skills, none.
Yeah.
And some of them were just bullies. I mean, just there were so many situations where you just had your back up against the wall, your clients are being threatened, and they didn't do the listing agent didn't even do their job right. So I am again, another statistics out of NAR this year is 20% less agents in the market that will be in the
Right.
market, 14% more sales. I mean, let's go with that one, shall we? So,
Yes.
on that note, we haven't heard about this for a while, or I hadn't heard about this for a while. U.S. housing supply gap surpasses 4 million homes in 2025. So they're saying that we have a deficit of 4.03 million homes, which means that we have demand and we don't have enough inventory. So I have a client who was to put an offer on a house last week. They got that one place got 15 offers. 15. I'm hearing about this every couple days about not just like multiple offers, but a lot of offers. So again, if you have a good realtor, you have the house is priced correctly, it's staged correctly. If it's all done professionally, if you've got a realtor who knows what the heck they're doing, you have it's a good market. So anyway, okay, we also hang on a minute, had a
Actually,
note.
while you're looking for that, a couple things. There's a couple announcements. One was from NMLS that your employment reporting is changing. So watch for that coming up in the next month or so.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. They're changing the guidelines, and I got this email saying, but it wasn't taking place for a while, and they said that if you have someone who you work for a corporation and they manage your NMLS listing, that they'll be the one who takes care of it. But if you're
Okay.
independent, I don't know what that means.
So
The
it
other
sounds
one,
like you actually you opened the email and read it. It sounds like
no,
that's
I did.
remarkable.
I did actually read it. The other
Good
one
for
was, I
you.
heard this, for when you're going to renew your licenses or your NMLS stuff, you'll notice that no one's advertising any courses so far. We're already into March, and that's because the review companies are reviewing the content of these courses much stricter than they used to, and they're looking for courses that have just AI reading legalese. I had taken one of those courses not last year, but the year before. It was pure torture for 2 hours renewing my Oregon license. And it was like I never went back to that particular company. But now MLS is saying, yeah, we're not tolerating that. That's not the way to learn
Was
classes.
that
So
was that NMLS or MLS? Ah,
MLS.
okay, okay. All right. So we also got a story from our friend Jason who um tells us that AI is telling people that so clients are Googling what is the standard processing fee? I mean, good God. So AI is telling them that the standard processing fee is $400 to $900. So if your processing fee is $995, said client is now coming back to you and asking, what the hell? And that, as it turns out, is nationally. So if you say, AI, tell me what the California processing fee is, then apparently it says $300 to $1,500. At which point, I guess your $995 wouldn't look so bad. But it also says the conventional AI is telling your clients this. They're saying conventional loans are easier and should cost less. How about that? So obviously, AI has never processed a loan ever, but it is giving all sorts of advice that it probably isn't qualified to give. But your clients are reading it and they think it's true. So there's that. Isn't that
No, it has to be true. Just like
what?
the photo I saw of Hillary Clinton with their kissing. Who's the guy that everyone's talking about now? The guy.
Epstein?
Oh,
Epstein?
ooh.
No?
Who's the guy on the island?
Epstein. She
Oh,
said it three
Epstein.
times.
I didn't hear you. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's obviously AI that produced that photo. So
Oh, did it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm really trying not to watch all that. I'm really trying
I am
to.
trying to avoid it too, but I thought it was just funny.
I know. Sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes it's just right there. But yeah, it's a lot. I'm like, all right, let's not pay attention to anything else. Okay, I have vowed that I'm going to
can I
remind everyone.
also just say that if you put out good information, that's going to give more good information out there for the bots to find. So
Yep.
write some good blog posts and start to create the narrative that you want to see out there.
Well, I think we're all going to have to do that and then multiply ourselves by like 10 bazillion because there's so much crap information out there. It's astonishing.
Mhm.
So, Jenny made the comment, sure, that guy with 10 properties going conventional is so much easier, right? I'm like, no kidding. I'm like, anyway, I just always want to remind everyone I cannot be enough of a broken record that two-thirds of all wealth in the US comes from home equity. A positive return in real estate, 78 out of the last 83 years. Progress is everything, and focus on who can we help today. That that will keep us all on the straight and narrow, I think, because we're not going to buy into the fact that the sky is falling and nobody wants to buy a house. It's all a bunch of hooey. And all we need to do is stay focused on helping our clients, help our clients, help our clients. So, any last minutes?
I love
No?
that.
All
If you
set.
see it,
Kevin?
like lock them in.
What?
If you see a rate you
If
like,
you
lock
see a
it
rig you like, lock it in. Yeah. Mhm.
in.
Yeah. And if your clients don't agree, you tried, right? So, and also I want to say thank you to Jason Bellevue again, because I think I finally have like the camera situation is better. I don't look
How's my
fuzzy.
camera situation?
Okay, you're fine. Yours was always fine. Okay, just
Yeah,
stop
there's a new
working all
camera.
together.
It's
I
like
know, but
it's my whole office now.
you always look perfect. I look like, well, let's just go with what it really was. I look like shit. So I was fuzzy, I was red, I would look blurry. One day, I swear to God, I was meeting with clients on Zoom. I looked ethereal. I am not joking. I literally had like this white, it was the weirdest thing. Anyway, all right. So thank you to Jason because he fixed it all for me. And thank you to Jenny who says, Audrey, I never thought you looked fuzzy. So, mwah.